Shalom and welcome to 2 Minutes of Torah. This year is entitled The Guy Who Wanted to Be a Kohain Gadol. Just learned Parsha Tetzaveh about the big day kahuna, 4 special clothing for the regular Kohen, and 8 special garments for the Kohain Gadol. The story goes in the Gemara Shabbat 31a, Amud Aleph. The Gentile read about these 8 clothing. He says, I want to wear these clothing. I want to be a Kohen Gadol. So the story goes, he went to Shammai and says, convert me on condition that I could be a Kohen Gadol. Shammai says, no such thing. We don't have a convert like that. It's ridiculous. And told him, no, nothing doing. He went to Hillel, and Hillel said, sure, of course. And the Gentile went ahead. He was learning Torah. He saw that, he learned that the Kohen Gadol is only a person with the right lineage. And as our Kriv Yumat, then a foreigner cannot wear the Kohanim's clothing. And he said, who does this apply to? They told him it don't apply to anyone. It could be to David HaMelech. He is not a Kohen. If he wears the clothing and serves in the Mikdash, he'll die. He says, oh my gosh, it certainly would apply to me. I'm in trouble. And he went back to Hill. He clarified that, yes, he cannot be a Kohen Gadol. And nevertheless, he stayed with the path. And he stayed as a Jew. And that's the story. So there's a few questions with the story. The first question is, very nice, Hill, so gentle with him, but we don't take converts like that. So the Marsha deals with that question. He says that he didn't convert him at that point. He only said to him at that point, that you are welcome to learn and study, and then I'll convert you. But the conversion was going to be later. And that's how it worked out. So he was learning during the interim period as a Gentile, not as a ger, as a Gentile preparing for conversion. The Marsha says that learning would be allowed in the interim state. And later he converted. But right, Fran says fine. So technically you could work it out. But why did Hillel do that? Why didn't Hillel tell him right away? Listen, it's very nice you want to be a Kohen, but it's just fantasy. It's delusional. And it just cannot be. So my friend says a beautiful point, and it's an amazing message for all of us. He realized, Hillel, that this Gentile had this fantasy, and if he would tell him differently, he'd be gone. But he also sensed that there was a real emes in this Gentile as well. He did have a love of Judaism, and he could be a real convert, a wonderful convert. But he has this little hang-up. And therefore, he'll work with him until he on his own recognizes that he cannot be a Kohen Gadol, but he still would want to be a Jew, which is what happened. And my friend's point is excellent. We so often, we as parents, we as spouses, we see someone else and we want to fix that person. We want to fix our children, fix our spouse. Because we have to really investigate, is there anything broken in the other person? Are we so sure? Is it something that doesn't meet our standards, but it could be there's something objectively wrong? But even if there is something wrong, and when a person doesn't come on time to meetings, and that's not a good trait. But if the person right now, that's where they're at, you could try to work with them, but to try to just fix them and have an immediate change, we have to understand the complexity of human beings. And Hillel's story teaches us that you can have a person who's a good person, who has good intentions, and really may be a great member of the Jewish nation. But he's got some shtick. And to go in and say, hey, listen, buddy, you're not a Kohen Gadol. You're never going to be a Kohen Gadol. He cannot hear that. And so, too, you tell your spouse, this way it has to be. You must change this midah, that midah. No, we love our spouse just for all the greatness and the way their spouse is, and you can look at the possible changes as something to think about. Is it possible for the person to change? Is it even worth it for me to try to make such a change? It's something to look into. But to assume I'm going to go ahead and fix another person and not appreciate the complexity of the other person, we're missing a true understanding of human nature. And our friend says that's one of the lessons of this story. to understand the complexity of human beings, and to understand we don't just go ahead and fix people and change people. They're not robots. That's one of the many lessons of the beautiful story, the Gentile, the conversion, and Hillel. Shalom.